On this episode of Project PS2, we make our way into town and go off on a tangent and visit Bromley in London to see what we can pick off the Curated Collection list. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today we're on episode 2 of Project PS2, and yeah, today's a big episode. We've got some great titles crossed off the list for this episode. So yeah, this is a really cool episode. I got some great pickups for this time round. So yeah, let's, without further ado, get into the PlayStation pickups, because as always guys, the Curated Collection is beckoning. So we are in my local CEX store and they have a fairly decent selection. Disgaea, Hour of Darkness, a franchise I have played a game or two from that franchise, but my knowledge is very limited with Disgaea, unfortunately. Here's the problem I have with my local CEX guys, is that they don't update their PS2 titles very often. They don't get many new titles in, so I'm seeing the same stuff over and over again. And the problem is I don't drive, so I'm limited to the same couple of CEX stores every week to really hunt in, unless I go further afield like we are in this video. We're heading to Bromley later on in the video, but yeah, I'm just seeing the same stuff. Nothing really I want to cross off the list, nothing I really want to pick up. So as you can see, they had quite a good selection of stuff in my local CEX. Some good stuff. I'm seeing a lot of the repeated stuff, because I find that to really cross off lists in this collection, I've got to give a bit more time for them to get new stock in for PS2. So this first bunch of stuff, I didn't get footage of the shop at the time when I picked these up. These were picked up last week after episode 1. So we're going to start off with the first bunch of titles. Like I said, I did get these from my local CEX, but the footage you saw earlier wasn't related to these pickups, but I did get these within the week. So the first title crossed off the list for the Curated Collection is Zone of the Enders. I remember really enjoying this one. Mech action game, really cool to see. Complete in box, which is always nice. The disc is in actually pretty clean condition, all things considered. Really happy about that. What makes this game really memorable to me is that it includes, or it used to include, the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo. This doesn't include that, unfortunately. Unless it's I don't know if it came on a separate disc, or if it was a part of, or if it actually was in the game. I'm not too sure, but it might actually be part of the game. There is a remaster on PS4 that I might pick up as well if I actually want to give this game a replay with like nicer graphics and stuff. That's Zone of the Enders. Zone of the Enders has ended. Next up is a franchise of games that I absolutely loved. The first one was a bit, half-baked. The second one was great. The third one was when they peaked for me, and that is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Absolutely loved this game as a kid. Really played shitloads of it. It was like the first time we got a proper series of Dragon Ball Z video games that looked and played what you would expect it to be like in the actual anime show. But yeah, played this to death, man. I absolutely adored this game. I'm not sure how it holds up, but we will see, obviously, when I give it a replay. Complete in box. Yeah, so this is another one that we can cross off the list. Definitely a big one for me that I really wanted on the collection, because I just remember playing hours of this. I do kind of want to get the other ones in the franchise, in the series, Budokai 1 and 2, because those have some form of nostalgia for me as well. But Budokai 3 is definitely the game that I played the most of in this Dragon Ball Z series. It's so good. That's Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is absolutely done. Next up is I want to use the term hidden gem, but I think that term is thrown around all over the place in the retro gaming community. But this is a game that I don't think many people talk about. I think it's actually just a great kind of like underrated title that I think more people should check out. It's almost like a pseudo God of War, but it's not really. It's got a very kind of interesting gameplay loop and gameplay style, but it's just really fun at the same time. Let me know if you've played it, guys. Anyway, this game is called The Mark of Cree. This game is so much fun, guys. So much fun. Published by Sony as well, so it's a PlayStation game. It's strictly on PlayStation. Lots of kind of like unique ideas in this one. The combat is visceral and brutal, and like I said, some of the finishing moves are nasty. Yeah, this game is great. Not many people talk about it. I think it's a really underrated one that I think a lot of you should check out, man. Like, if there's a game in this video to check out, definitely it would be the Mark of Cree. This game needs loads more love. It's such a good time. Mark of Cree is crossed off the list. The final pickup for last week that I picked up that I didn't get footage for is another underrated gem that I think is awesome. Do you love heavy metal? Do you love being able to turn into monsters at will? Do you love witchcraft and weird kind of demonic stuff? This game has it all, man. This is called Primal. I loved this game back in the day. I know it got a PS4 re-release with a bit more of a up-res in resolution and stuff, but I wanted it on the original hardware, PS2. Again, this is another Sony published game. This game is so good, man. So underrated. It is complete unboxed. This is the cleanest manual I've ever seen when I'm picking up PS2 games. The disc is literally like, looks like it has never been used. It's unbelievable how good this is. This game is so much fun. Like, you know, I was saying about Mark of Cree being underrated. Primal is super underrated as well. I don't like using the hidden gem term because that keeps that literally is thrown around like no one's business. But these are games that need more love, and you should go and hunt them down and check them out. Probably the highlights of this pickup for me in terms of games that no one really talks about. But yeah, check those out. Primal is also done. Now we are in Bromley in their CEX to check out PS2 games for Project PS2. They had a really good selection all around in this shop, thankfully. They had some really cool titles. Futurama is a really underrated one, 18 quid. It's gonna go up in price for sure, that title, so if you want to grab that, guys, I'd get it as soon as you can. Extreme G, I was a massive Extreme G fan back in the day on the N64. 50p for Extreme G3, it's on the list, so it might be one we pick up. Dark Cloud is an odd one. It's a game so early on in the PS2 life that I never got to play it, but I really want to. Dragon Quest 8 is one of the best RPGs ever, JRPGs in particular, with that cool Dragon Ball art style. Lego Racers 2, I put in loads of hours into Lego Racers 1 as a kid, so I've never even knew there was a second game, so maybe that's something I can check out down the line, just out of curiosity, I suppose. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, hands down one of the greatest Mortal Kombat games ever made. That's right, guys, I said it. We found one that's on the list for definite, guys. Onimusha 2. It's amongst some of the best in the PS2 lineup. Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. Not played that one. I don't think it was reviewed very well. It's the fourth game in the franchise. Soul Reaver 2, guys. Almost picked this up, but when you see games in that kind of condition with the horrible kind of grimy cover, I had to leave it there. Soul Calibur 3 is the forgotten Soul Calibur no one talks about, unfortunately. I love Soul Calibur 2 though. What a game Soul Calibur 2 is. Time Splitters 2 is on the list, but I left it there. It didn't have a manual. The Thing is one of the big hitters on the list for me. I adore this game, but I thought that the cover art was a bit jank and a bit not in the best condition, unfortunately. Saw in the footage, we went to Bromley. They had a really good selection of PS2 games in there, and there were some games I really wanted to pick up, but I wasn't too sure about the condition. Soul Reaver 2 was there, the Thing video game were there. I was really sad to leave them behind, but the condition, just for the from the, you know, the sleeve and the case, they just look grimy. They weren't the best condition, unfortunately, but I did pick up a handful here. Crossing them off the list, I'm well happy about it. The first title I picked up for Project PS2 is Half-Life, a 90s classic that probably changed FPS forever, in my opinion, when it concerns telling stories in first-person shooters. I've never played the PS2 version, but it definitely was a game I wanted to check out and see how it compares to the PC version. Of course, it probably won't be as smooth and as good as the PC version, but I'm always interested in games that, you know, came to life on PC, how they will translate onto console. But yeah, this is also of course a complete in box. I think I prefer Half-Life 2 over the first one, but it's cool to have this on PS2 nonetheless. That's another game to cross off our curated collection list. Half-Life It's crossed off the list. The game that I was waiting off to get it cheap, and yeah, £2 this was in CEX. Yeah, very common game, but Timesplitters, this franchise is near perfect, I think. It's pretty much a perfect franchise. Timesplitters 1 is great, Timesplitters 2 is probably even better, and I think Future Perfect is probably the best in the franchise. It's a controversial opinion, but I think it might be. But yeah, the first game is where it started, and it's just fantastic. Fantastic focus on just like, you know, collecting stuff in a level and getting out of there. But the gunplay is amazing, and yeah, I love it. This is also complete in box, which is always nice to see. Yeah, what can I say about the Timesplitters franchise? You know, it's got the pedigree from Rare. You know, it's got DNA in there from like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye, and you can feel that in its gameplay and its sound design as well. But yeah, Timesplitters is definitely one I can cross off the list for the Created Collection. Timesplitters is done. Next up is a racing franchise that I used to adore. I had the first 2 games on N64 back as a kid, and I had to pick up this one for PS2 because I miss this franchise. I really do, guys. You know, people like Wipeout. You know, when it concerns combat racing, people like Wipeout for that fast pace. You pick up weapons, you destroy shit. This is the franchise for me. I pick this over Wipeout any day of the week, and that is the Extreme G franchise. This is Extreme G3. Loved this franchise as a kid. Loved it, absolutely loved it. The first 2 games are great. This game was pretty good as well. There is a 4th game that I didn't think was that good, but yeah, really happy to get this. This was 50p in CEX, so it was a no-brainer. I'm really happy to report that it is complete in box, in great condition. But yeah, really love these games. Again, I feel like this is a franchise that has become lost, forgotten, because I feel like the first 2 games are trapped on N64, and obviously this 3rd game is trapped on PS2. It's a shame because I feel like these are really fun racing games that really push the limits of speed and getting into the combat aspect of it as well. My choice over Wipeout. I love the Extreme G franchise. This is awesome, and I'm really happy to add it to the Created PS2 collection. That's Extreme G3. The final game for Project PS2 in this episode. Really happy to cross this off the list. I'm looking forward to getting the other games in the trilogy, and that is Capcom's Onimusha 2. I would put on the Onimusha trilogy up there as some of the best the PS2 have to offer. Onimusha Warlords was a great starting point, taking that kind of familiar Resident Evil kind of, you know, static backdrops, but with like instant action as a samurai. Bringing it over to Onimusha 2, more of the same, but better graphics, cooler weapons, crazy cool power-ups. And then you've got Onimusha 3, which I think is the best in the franchise, with just amazing, you know, dual character gameplay. Onimusha 2 is great as well though, and really happy to get this in the collection to start out Onimusha trilogy off in style. Manual and disc there, complete in box of course. The disc is in awesome condition as well, which I'm really happy about. Yeah, I love the Onimusha series. It's one of those, you know, people are crying out for a Dino Crisis remake. I am dying for a fucking Onimusha remake. Capcom, give us it now, guys, man. I mean, if you're going to give us Dino Crisis, I'll take that as well, but I really want a Onimusha remake because that'd be awesome. But yeah, Onimusha 2 is great, awesome sequel. The trilogy is awesome as well. So that is the final game for this episode on Project PS2, Onimusha 2. Let's cross it off the list. Onimusha 2 is done. That is it, guys. That is the episode for today for Project PS2. Let me know what you think of any or all of these games in the comments down below, and let me know if there's any games you suggest I add to my created collection list. Anyway, guys, as always, let's continue to build a games collection.